Hi, you're listening to Everyday Superpower, a place where you can learn to understand and read body language, learn how to read the minds of others, and essentially learn a real life superpower. With these lessons, you're going to be able to identify particular behaviours and patterns in people, as to which you'll be able to apply on a global scale and understand what they mean without them even saying a word. It all comes from the subconscious mind, and you yourself are going to understand the signals you give out into the world through the same basis. If you enjoy what you hear, you can click like and subscribe to obviously continue with the education, or if you want to get a step ahead and speak to me one-to-one, what you can do is you can click the link in my bio and support me via Patreon. Without further ado, we're going to get on with the lesson, so thank you. Okay, so today, as you can see in the picture, what we're going to be talking about is the chin jut. Alright, so a lifting of the chin and a pushing out of the chin. Now, it can be to a varying degree. It could be somewhat subtle at the degree of a micro gesture, or it could be something really evident and clear. Alright, so this particular behaviour shows a confrontational attitude, may well be possibly a very prideful attitude as well, and someone who is very prideful of themselves in a particular circumstance or time may be hard to deal with depending on the circumstance. Obviously, you'll have to read the context and the environment when this behaviour springs upon to really identify how you should be, taking into consideration this behaviour. So the chin is pushed outwards and upwards, right? And it's accompanied by a tilt of the head. The head tilts backwards, projecting the chin upwards, alright? So it's not to be confused with a momentary upwards nod. That's what we would do if we were to acknowledge someone. We'd just give a little nod of the head to show acknowledgement alongside eye contact, I assume in most cases. Alright. Rather so, this is a forwards jut of the chin, which does go upwards, but it's more consistent. And in this particular situation, it's in your best interest to read the room and the environment, alright? So this is one which is relatively self-explanatory in an isolated instance, but when it comes to aggressive and, potential conflict in your communications, you need to really ensure you're reading it right, so you're able to, move appropriately, let's say, be able to maneuver through the communication appropriately. But I'll tell you what, it's a different topic, but a passing note would be, if you do have a funny feeling about someone and you don't necessarily know why, that's your intuition telling you that something's up. That's a survival mechanism that is giving you a little bit of a push, saying, you need to be careful here. So it's more honest than a lot of what an individual's conscious mind can conjure. So take that into consideration. If you do feel that someone is a bit off, let's say, it's more than likely going to be a non-congruence within their behaviour. Alright, something's not adding up, something's not matching, so it needs to be taken into consideration. So the forwards jut of the chin is essentially a spear provoking conflict, alright? So it's there heading into conflict. It's a sharp dagger. And when an individual lifts their head up and their chin up, by default, what they may be doing towards the individuals they're communicating with is looking down their nose at them, and that's not a good thing, alright? So it's not a closed behaviour. So when we talk about open and closed body language, we say it's better to deal with open body language than closed body language. This may be a little bit of a exception to the rule, okay? As nothing is written in stone, there are little ins and outs of the rule book of nonverbal communication, but it's a gravity-defying behaviour which tends to be a positive. In this circumstance, maybe to some degree for the individual who is utilizing the behavior. They're showing they're not scared. And obviously we discussed it, it's a very prideful image as to which they're giving out. Obviously it's to the detriment of the people whom they are communicating with, because it's very hard to get through someone who's being as stern and passive aggressive in a way, alright, if they're not being verbally overt with aggressive behavior. So the chin lifts up, and what that does is that exposes the neck, right? Exposure of the neck shows that the individual isn't threatened, as when we're threatened we conceal our neck and our wrist and our internal organs, which are shielded by our chest and our torso, our genitals, and so on and so forth. We subconsciously cover them, whereas when we're comfortable, confident, and free of threat, we'll expose it. So in a way, the jutting of the chin and the upwards raise of the chin is a bit of a challenge. It's as if to say, I dare you to hit me. So when I say it's a lead into conflict, it's a threat from their end, let's say, towards you, to say, I dare you to do something. Alright, I'm so prideful and I'm not threatened at all that I'm going to raise my chin, expose myself to you, but not necessarily in an open, positive manner, but I'm actually going to flip it upside down and do it in quite a negative manner. Okay, so when we normally talk about an example, where you'll see this behaviour, as you can see ahead of you, you see it quite commonly in mugshots. People who don't abide by the law and, even when caught, feel contempt and, still feel necessary to fight back in some manner and show that they're not weak. You'll see that a lot in mugshots, alright? So it's a form of challenge, it's a challenging display. It exposes the full neck, as we've discussed, and it's the opposite to a chin tuck. So it's the opposite, its counter opposite will be the tucking of the chin, the hiding of the neck, and the lowering of the chin. Okay, so that's quite a reserved, defensive, closed gesture, which is quite symbolic for someone who's fearful, intimidated, feeling down. The counter opposite of the prideful, fearless, aggressive man we see before us. So to finish off this lesson, what you can acknowledge is that the raising and the fronting of the chin in your direction or in the direction of someone else isn't necessarily a positive thing for the individual who has to deal with the person doing so. It's symbolic of pride and exposes a fearless, somewhat confrontational attitude. All right, it can be very momentary. So somebody may, if you go to a shop and you say hello to someone, can you help me? And they look at you in this manner momentarily, you should be able to identify it straight away. If it's just a momentary nod of the head, then it's a nod of the head, it's different, okay? But if it's, prolonged a little more, you can read the room and understand that this isn't a positive display. And trust me, I'm sure even without the understanding of the theoretics behind body language, you would be able to differentiate a positive and a negative cue when it comes with this, alright? So it's not going to be smiles and open palms and happiness. It's going to be quite a reserved sort of, limited communication alongside this behaviour. As I said, just trust your gut and, just keep out of trouble, manoeuvre your way through trouble just by, continuing to learn these lessons and being able to apply them and so on and so forth. All right. Anyway, I hope that was enjoyable. I hope you've learnt a little something. More videos to come. As I've said, working on a Patreon. I'm going to have all of the videos on there. All of the videos in the world I've been putting out without any sort of waiting for upload time. Alright, so you'll have full access to everything. You'll be able to message me one-on-one as to where we'll be able to communicate, and if you have any inquiries, or even if you want me to do a video custom for yourself, I'd be more than happy to do so. Alright, completely anonymous for your sake. So drop me a message, click like and subscribe. Peace and love. Bye.